Number 15, do you take advantage of all savings and investments opportunities that come your way? Do you take advantage? This is where the importance of saving comes in. Because if an investment opportunity comes, maybe there's a land here that is being sold at 3 million. And maybe that person, the owner of that land, is flying out of this country, maybe going to a different country. And maybe that person is not planning to come back again. But the value of the land is 3 million. But he or she is telling you, just give me 1 million. I'm willing to give out this land if you give me 1 million. But if you don't have 1 million or even 500 in your savings, that investment opportunity will bypass you. Will bypass you. That's why it's always good, whatever the case, I don't care how much you earn. Even if you're earning 10,000, you need to at least set aside at least 10% of your savings. Whether your mom is calling you, your dad is calling you, your husband, your wife, your friends are calling you, even if it is 10,000, 10%, between 10% to 20% has to go to savings. That is to secure your financial future. Because look at this, money is tripartite. When I say money is tripartite, it has got 3 dimensions. Anytime you receive your income, anytime you receive your salary, it has got 3 dimensions. And the dimension number 1 is the past. The moment you receive your salary, it has got in that salary, it has got the past. In that, you have to sort out the bills that you have incurred in the course of that month. In the same salary, you have to sort out the bills, maybe house rent, food stuff. Those are things you have incurred in the course of the month. That is the first dimension. The second dimension is present. Present means what are you going to use to survive in the course of that month? In terms of bus fare, in terms of airtime. Because if you don't plan for it, you will be a victim again of borrowing. Are you listening? You will be a victim of borrowing. So anytime you receive that salary, you consider the past. That is number 2. Consider the present. What are you going to use in the course of this month? If you have got 10,000, if somebody there, if Nick calls you and tells you, I am in need of 10,000, you are right to tell me, no, Nick, I don't have. It's not your money. It's not your money. It's supposed to carry you in the course of the month. So you have the right to tell me you don't have money. And it is true, you are not lying. The 3 dimension is the dimension of the future. In the same salary, you have the past, you have the present, and you have the future. When I talk about the future, that is what goes to your tomorrow. What goes to your savings? What goes to your investments? What goes to your tomorrow? What goes to your savings? What goes to your investment? That is the future. Listen, if you eat everything, the moment you receive your salary or your income, if you eat everything, you'll have eaten your life. If you eat everything, you'll have eaten your life. Now, the characteristics of a witch are known to interfere with the people's life. One of the trademark of a witch, it is to interfere with the people's life. Now, if you eat your future financially, you'll be your own financial witch. So you don't have a witch in your life. You have been your own personal financial witch. Because you have been eating your future, you have been interfering with your future. Allow me to use these analogies, because most of us, we are farmers. I don't come from Kitale, but I know Kitale are known to be serious maize farmers. Sindio? But before Langat, before we used to buy the maize seed from Kenya Seed, initially, where did we used to get the seed to plant? Let us listen to this. There is no rocket science, there is no gimmicks as far as building financial freedom is concerned. Where did we used to get? That anytime they used to harvest maize, they used to choose the best maize cob. Choose the best. And then from the best, they preserve for the next season. They preserve for the next season. And they used not to preserve for 1 year, they used to preserve for at least 2 years so that they can get quality production or optimum production after planting. So they used to choose the best, preserve for at least 2 years, and then plant. Now, she told me this thing, that for those who used not to preserve, for those who used not to preserve, when the planting season came, what happened? They would be late. Now, she told me this, those who preserved their seeds, they were in a position to plant in the right season. In that, if today it rains and they are supposed to be planting next week, they would plant all of them. Those who had their seeds would plant in the right season. But those who didn't have seeds, they would be late in planting. Why? They would be forced to go and borrow from those who had preserved their seeds. And if those who preserved their seeds don't have their seeds, or they planted everything, they were forced to tell them, no, we don't have. We have planted everything. Which means they ended up being too late. If they are supposed to plant in the same month of July, you realize this one, because she didn't preserve a seed to plant, she is late with 1 month. And you see, that 1 month, what happens at the end of it, it affects the entire production. You realize that maize have been affected by insects simply because you are late during planting season. And there are those now who never secured seeds to plant. They ended up under the same food problem, year in, year out. Why? Because they have not learned their mistake of not preserving a seed to plant in the planting season. And you see, we have adopted this culture as Kenyans and Africans. And it is a bad culture. That anytime we receive our salary, anytime we receive our income, we consume everything. We don't factor in the past, as we say, the 3 dimensions of money. We don't factor in the present, and we don't factor in the future. And I said something, anytime you eat your everything, you are eating your future. And if you eat your future, there's no difference between you and a witch. You are your own personal financial witch. Because the trademark of a witch, it is you to interfere with your tomorrow. So if you don't want to become your own financial witch, what you do, you make sure that anytime you receive your salary, the number 1 thing that you deal with God. Malizana na Mungu kwanza. In form of tithing, if you believe in tithing, that is it. And 2, the number 2 person, it is you. You are the only person who has been working, 12 hours, 8 hours. But anytime you receive your salary, you forget about yourself. So you pay yourself in form of setting aside at least between 10 to 20% of your gross salary. If you don't set aside 10% or 20% of your gross salary, I don't need to be a prophet, Sam. In the next 10 years, you'll be even worse than the way you are today, because the inflation will have gone high. And there are people who are saying my salary is not enough. My income is not enough. What we are earning today is not what you were earning 5 years ago. Is it true? What you are earning today is not what you were earning 10 years ago. My question is, how did you survive when you had that salary, when you didn't have that salary? You didn't die. But the problem is that anytime we receive our salary or income, what we do, we change our lifestyle drastically. It's like they have to know I'm working. They have to know I'm employed. You don't need to show people that you are working. You don't need to show people that you're employed. You need to work out your own financial life secretly. You don't need to carry everybody in the entire family. You don't need to carry everybody in the entire society. Because there is what we call the spirit of grambology. The spirit of grambology states that anytime you try to rise higher with your salary or with your income, there are people pulling you down. your siblings, your friends, your relatives. Sijui matanga. Did you kill the person? Okay, you don't tell the person, you don't release such a statement, but back in your mind, you know that you didn't kill the person. And you realize maybe burial, maybe it's somewhere far, maybe in Busia. You're supposed to use 15,000 to get to Busia, and you're not going to resurrect the person. That is when you are working out your financial life. The spirit of grab hold. If you're not careful, you'll remain on the ground floor forever. So what you need to do, it's not being selfish, it is wisdom. And that is why King Solomon says in Proverbs 4:7, wisdom is the principal thing. It is the primary. It is the primary thing. So you have the right to say no. Otherwise, nothing will change. Now, what you do, you manage the people, not arrogantly, but with a lot of wisdom. That's what the Bible says in Matthew 10:16. I said this is a faith-based financial literacy. Matthew 5:16 says that be wise as a serpent. That is King James Version. Be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. Serpents are snakes, right? It's been found that they are enemies to every humanity all over the world, but they are thriving. How? A serpent, a snake can be here, but you will not realize. Silence, not being loud, because of the wisdom part of it hiding. You don't need to tell people how much you earn, especially your relatives and the friends around you, because they will budget for your salary, they will budget for your income. So, and the moment they tell you, give me 10,000 or give me 5,000, you'll not be in a position to tell them no, simply because you told them how much you earn. So you manage first, and you climb, you build yourself first financially in terms of saving. After savings, because you don't grow, you don't become financially free, you don't become wealthy as a result of saving. You need to rise to the next level of being an investor. Investor means just deploying your money to go and make money for you. Warren Buffett said, if you don't have money working for you while asleep, get ready to work until you die.